What's up, guys? Sealant Legus here. Today we're going to be talking about Escape from Tarkov. Now, maybe you just bought the game and you're starting it up for the first time. You choose your name and you choose your faction, and you're staring at this screen right here. Tarkov has no tutorial of any kind. It has no explanation of the basic mechanics of the game. They kind of just throw you to the wolves at the beginning. The game has a pretty steep learning curve, so I'm gonna, do my best to help you guys out with that. Alright, so when you first log on to the game, you put your desired character name in and you select your faction. The first thing you're gonna want to do is go to your settings menu. Now, most of you guys are probably going to be wearing headsets, and the default volume controls of the game are very loud. Okay, they will, if you have your headset turned up even 3/4 of the way, most people play louder than that. The game is going to blast your eardrums completely out. So you just want to come over here and turn your music volume down to 0. Or you can have it at 10 or 20, but I keep mine at 0 because I've heard the music 5 million times and I'm honestly kind of sick of it. And once you get more familiar with the game, you can change all of these as you go. But the first time I logged into the game, my eardrums were blasted out of my head, and so the first thing I went and did was settings right here, the cog wheel down in the corner, sound, and turned the music volume down, turned the overall volume down. I made a little bit of a mistake. I turned all of the volume down, way down, and started my first raid. And, sound is probably the most important aspect of this game. So you're going to want to keep your overall volume, your effects volume, and some people play with their interface volume higher than mine. Interface volume is like your looting sounds, your inventory sounds, stuff like that. I keep those kind of low because the looting sounds in this game, they get pretty loud. But we'll come back to that. And the second thing you're going to want to do after that is come over here to your controls. Now, as you can see, the game has quite a few controls. They get pretty in depth with the way your character moves. You've got your basic WASD controls. You've got lean left, lean right, fire, yada yada down the line. Now your controls are not really going to look like mine. I've changed mine up a little bit. But when you're first starting out, it'll be up to you if you want to change the controls or not. Some people play with the default controls and they're a lot better than I am. You don't have to change any of the controls, but you're going to want to at least look at them. Try to remember as many of them as you can. You can change your sensitivity down here. This is kind of, you don't really need to worry about this. It's how fast your double click works. You don't really need to worry about that. But your sensitivity, it has both a character sensitivity, like an overall sensitivity, and like an ADS sensitivity. And you can invert your axis, though I don't know why anybody would ever do that. Let's see. You can change your name, your voice, your interface language. These here, I always leave these checked. I'm not sure if they do anything. You can change your field of view and your head bobbing. The default head bobbing, I think, is somewhere up here. That gets very, very annoying. I turn that down to 0. You'll notice the difference immediately. And I also play with a max field of view. I think the default is like 55. Or it might even be all the way down at 50. Having it up at 75 adds quite a bit to what you can see. It makes your scopes and red dot sights closer to your, it makes it look like they're closer to your face. And I just find that it's a lot easier to do it that way. And your graphics settings, you're probably going to want to take a look at those too. You know, a lot of people don't have the best computers. You know, they don't have what the big streamers have. They don't have the 2080 Ti's and the 9900Ks. Tarkov is very resource intensive. It's not 1.0 yet. The game still needs to be optimized. So depending on your setup, you're going to want to, you know, play a few raids, see how it goes with the default settings. I have a relatively good setup, and I get about 75, sometimes 80 or 90 frames, depending on what I'm doing, what I'm looking at. And these are what my settings look like. Now, you don't have to keep your settings. You don't have to copy my settings. You don't have to keep them default. But, you know, as you play the game and, you know, learn it better, you'll be able to mess with these a little bit more. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. All right, so you're back at the title screen after you've turned down the incessantly loud sound that the game kind of thrusts upon you when you first start it up. You're going to want to look, you don't need to worry about your hideout. That'll come later. You're going to want to look at your character screen. Now, when you first start up the game, it's your first time having played. You'll see your empty character screen. You'll see your, depending on which edition of the game you have, you'll see your secure container down here and your melee weapon. And the rest of it should be empty, and your stash will be over here. Now, depending on what edition of the game you bought, you'll have between a 10 by 26 stash. You can see there's each little individual squares, and each item takes up a certain number of squares, you know, 3 by 3, 1 by 2, 2 by 2. I swear 50% of my playtime in this game is stash management. Mine is very messy. I'm kind of a hoarder. You know, your stash probably isn't going to look like mine. It'll probably be down the road. It'll probably be a lot more organized than mine is. But, you know, we're not going to worry about all of this extraneous stuff here. We're just going to focus on, I tried to set up a little bit of a starter bundle of items here. When you first start out the game or immediately after a wipe, you will have all of the items, and it tells you on the website what they all are. Depending on which edition of the game you bought, you get, you know, slightly more items to start out with. But let's say you bought just the standard edition, you know, you're not sure about the game. That's kind of what I'm going to focus on, is just, you know, the standard edition account for people who are brand new to the game. You know, they're not sure whether they're going to like it, so they just spent the $45 US and bought the standard edition. You start out with a handful of pistols, a handful of meds, handful of clips, a handful of ammo, and your alpha container is 2 squares by 2 squares. So let's ignore these bottom 3 and these 3 on the right here. Let's say my container is an alpha container and it's just 2 squares by 2 squares. Now, anything that you put in your secure container here comes out of the raid with you. In Escape from Tarkov, when you die, you lose everything that you're carrying except what's in your secure container right here. So this is a very important part of the game right here. Most of the time, I put my meds in here. If I find a really valuable item that I can put in my secure container, because you can't put every item in the game in your secure container. Most of the time, I just put my meds in there. because meds are pretty expensive. You end up using them so much that it just gets to be a pain to replace them. So I usually just keep my meds in my secure container. And for the duration of this video, I'm gonna put my meds in there. And when you're first starting out, you probably should too, because you're not gonna have a lot of other stuff to put in there. Alright, we're gonna get moving along here because I've kind of started to ramble on, but you know, I want to make sure you guys understand the complexities and the nuances of this game, because this is probably the most hardcore game that's available on the market right now. But you're gonna, I would heavily recommend using a pistol for your first few raids. So you have, I believe when you start, the pistol will be loaded with a clip, an empty clip. You're going to want to, you can double click and it shows you the various attachments. Now you can either use this to take out the clip, you just click and drag, or when you right click, it gives you a menu here. You can unload the clip, and usually it will go into your inventory on your player. Now to add ammo, you have to add your ammo to the clip every time. The clips come empty when you buy them. You have to add your ammo to the clip. Each gun obviously fires a different kind of ammo, and there's also several different kinds of each caliber of ammo. Now you can see this is 9x19 millimeter PST GZH ammo. There's almost a dozen other kinds of 9x19 ammo. This is the second best one in terms of penetration, armor penetration. Each different kind, different variation of each ammo caliber has different characteristics. Each round has a damage value, a penetration value, a fragmentation chance, a ricochet chance. You know, there's a whole set of algorithms and calculations that go into each ammo type, each ammo caliber and variant. But that's not really pertinent when you're first starting out the game. You just want to load up your ammo like this. You just click and drag it. Now, you'll either see a yellow or a green color behind it when you've got the right kind of ammo selected. If you're not sure, most of the items in the game, you can just hover over them and it'll tell you, like, obviously this says 9x19 P226. When you hover over this, it says 9x19. You just click and drag, okay? And you can also put one bullet in the chamber, and I would recommend you do this every time, because if you don't, when you first spawn into a raid, your guy will pull out the gun and cock it, and that is a dead giveaway. If somebody spawns real close to you, they will hear that and they will come for you. So I always put one bullet in the chamber, and you can see it's over here in the chamber slot. And then after you've done that, you can click and drag and slide it over to your holster. You start out with a number of these AI2 medkits. These are the most basic medkit in the game. They have a 2-second use time. That's actually, I believe, the lowest medkit use time in the game. And they heal 50 HP, I believe, or they can heal up to 50 HP. When you come over here and look at your health, each body part has a specific number of HP, basically damage that it can take before it is destroyed. Your thorax and your head, if either one of those reaches 0, you're dead. But your arms, legs, and your stomach can all reach 0. without you dying. You can even, both your arms, both your legs, and your stomach can be blacked out at 0 HP basically, and you can still be alive. You'll be hurting pretty badly, but you'll still be alive. When we actually start up the game and get into a raid, I will try to explain what the different kinds of meds do a little better. In Tarkov, you have basic HP. You also can accrue various types of injuries. You can suffer from blood loss, fractures, pain, tremors, also contusions, all sorts of things. Bandages stop blood loss. When you are bleeding, you'll see up in the corner here, it'll show a silhouette of your character and where you're damaged. It's color-coded. When your leg is damaged, for example, your leg will be red. And if you're bleeding, you'll see like a little red square. It's kind of hard to see, but it is a symbol. It's like blood dripping, kind of. That means that you're bleeding, and whatever limb you have that's bleeding is slowly losing HP, and if you don't heal it quickly, you'll bleed out and die, basically. So bandages and certain kinds of med kits can be used to stop blood loss. Another common type of injury is a fracture. If you jump from too high, or sometimes when you get shot, your legs or arms will fracture, and you need to use a splint. Obviously, you know, it's a splint. If you click on all of these, it usually tells you, you know, use time, HP, resource, and it'll tell you with these little gray bars here what the medical item does for you. Use time 5 seconds removes fracture. Use time 2 seconds stops blood loss. When you get into the more advanced kinds of med packs and other things, the Salewa or the car med kit. I don't actually have a car med kit, I don't think. Yeah. But car med kits and Salewas are very similar. The car med kit has 220 instead of 400. But basically, they stop blood loss and heal you. So instead of having to bandage and then use your med kit, you stop the blood loss and heal all at the same time. And the king of the hill, I guess, of medical packs is the Grizzly here. But this is kind of an end game medical kit. It stops blood loss, removes fractures, contusions. These aren't really in the game yet. Radiation exposure, intoxication, they're not really in the game yet. As you can see, this is a big med kit. It's 1800. It heals 1800 hit points basically, but you pay for it. It's 2x2. It takes up, you know, if you were to put it in your secure container as a standard account, it would take up your entire secure container. So I don't really like to use Grizzlies, but they are there to use. And later on, you'll unlock CMS kits. These will repair blacked out limbs. So basically, when your limbs or your stomach reaches 0 HP, on the silhouette up here in the corner that you'll see when we get into a raid, it'll turn black. Now, this CMS kit, there's two variants. One is this 2x1 here, and another is 1x3, which has 15 uses. But this one is the more basic one. It has 5 uses with a 16-second use time, but it repairs your blacked out arms, legs, or stomach. And it will repair them to a certain percentage of full. As you can see, your arms and your legs have, you know, this much HP. When they get blacked out and you have to use your CMS kit, it will only restore like 50% of the total HP, and it will only bring it to 1 HP. You'll have to use your med kit. You can click and drag or just right click and hit use. But it'll repair your damaged, blacked out limb to 1, and then you have to repair, or you have to heal it back to full yourself. Let's see, what do we got next here? Yeah, I guess we'll just fill up some clips and we will start trying to get into a raid. Like I said, I always put most of my meds in. Oh, I forgot about painkillers. Painkillers are very, very important part of the game. Basically what happens is if your leg gets blacked out and you don't have a CMS kit with you, your guy will start limping and your movement speed is decreased by like 50 or 75%. I can't remember what it is, but your aim is affected. You can't really move, you can't run, you can't jump. Taking a painkiller will allow you to jump and run and walk again. These are the basic ones, basic painkillers. They have 4 uses, and each one lasts for 170 seconds. I go through a lot of these. And like I said, I usually put my meds in my secure container. You start out with, we'll do this. You start out with quite a few of these bandages, and you can buy them from the traders for relatively cheap. We're going to take 1 full clip and put it in our pockets, and we're going to take 1 more and put it in our secure container. So this is going to be our loadout for the first raid that we go into. And before you start your first raid, you're going to want to come down here to the trading part of the main menu. You'll be looking first at your different traders. There's 8 different traders, but when you first start out, you're only going to focus on these 2 right here. Prapor, he sells kind of just one of everything. Now, he's at loyalty level 4. There's 4 loyalty levels. When you first look, he's gonna sell most of this stuff right here. Some of it's unlocked through questing, but you're gonna see this stuff right here. You can buy those PST GZH rounds from him at loyalty level 1, I believe. Oh no, you can't anymore. Maybe it's... Oh, they did, didn't they? Oh, well, they must have changed it. These PSO GZH rounds aren't really as good. They're not the worst rounds, I don't think, but hopefully they'll be good enough. They'll be good enough when you're first starting out. And another thing that they also changed, you have to be loyalty level 2 now. This PP1901 submachine gun right here was my go-to recommendation for beginner gun to use outside of a pistol. And when I went to make this video, I discovered that they made it loyalty level 2 now. As you can see, it's only 20,500 rubles to buy. We'll come back to that though. Now, your best bet is probably the SKS right here. But for the first raid, we're just going to start out with a pistol. Standard account, you only start out with 300,000 rubles, and that's not a lot when stuff costs 20 and 30 and 50,000 rubles. It goes pretty quickly. So we're just gonna pretend that you have a lot of money for right now. Hang on 1 second. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Just had a minor glitch with the recording software. I'm relatively new to recording and streaming, so alright, we'll just get back into it. Now, we're going to move on to tasks. Each trader has a list of tasks that you are going to have to accomplish in order to get your loyalty levels up. Let's go back and look at one of these guys because they're the only ones I don't have loyalty level for. As you can see, it shows your current attitude, Yours will obviously be 1. It'll show what level you need to get to, what standing you need to get to, and how much rubles you have to spend with that trader. The way you get standing with each trader is by doing their tasks. And for rubles, how much rubles you have to spend, that's buying and selling. So when you buy an item from a trader or when you sell an item to a trader, it counts towards this number over here. Prepor and Therapist are the 2 that are going to give you tasks at level 1. So you come over here to the Tasks tab. They each have 1. So you're going to click the one that it is. Prepor's first task, I believe, is you have to kill 5 scavs on customs, and you have to find 2 pump action shotguns, I believe it is. There's going to be a button here that's the accept button. Hit the accept button, and then you come over to Therapist and do the same. Hers is you have to find 5 Salewa medkits, which, remember, is these medkits right here. You have to find 5 of them. Now, some tasks will require you to find the items in raid, but for this one, you just have to find 5 Salewa medkits. You don't have to find them in raid. Those ones can become kind of a pain, especially when you get towards the end of the game. It starts wanting you to find items that are exceptionally rare. But for these ones, if you unlock the flea market at level 5 and you still don't have all 5 of them, you can just buy them. They're usually not too expensive unless it's fresh after a wipe. Let's see how much they are. Yeah. And they don't have to be full either. You can buy, we'll get rid of the barter offers right now. Yeah, you can just buy whatever the cheapest one is, even if it's 1 out of 400. And the flea market does not unlock for you until you hit level 5. You have to get to level 5 before you can use the flea market. So if you've reached level 5 and you still don't have all 5 Salewa medkits for Therapist Quest, if you just want to get the quests out of the way and move on to the next one, you can just buy them. They don't have to be found in raid. Alright, so after you've accepted your first 2 tasks, you're going to want to go back to your character screen. You know, you've set your loadout. You've got, hopefully, a relatively firm grasp of the controls. You're going to want to come to the Escape from Tarkov button, and you'll see your main character, PMC, over here. You see he's got his pistol. You can play either as your main PMC character or as one of the scavenger AIs, basically. And when you join into a raid, you have to contend with other PMCs, AI scavs, and player scavs. So each person can play as a scav, and you basically join in the raid at a random time as a scav. You can loot, you can, basically do whatever you want. You can kill the other scavs or not. If you start shooting them, they will turn on you and all try to kill you. But basically the point of playing as a scav is to get in, loot some items, and get out. It's like an emergency money-making feature, basically. You can go in, you start with a random gun. It's not going to be the same gun every time, and random gear. So each time when you go in, you finish a raid or you die, he'll have a new loadout when you come back to this screen, and there's also a cooldown time. I think it's 20 minutes. Default is like 20 minutes, but as you upgrade your hideout, you can decrease that time by a little bit. But we're not going to worry about that now. We're going to stick with our main PMC character. You come to the map screen. The first couple of tasks that you have to do in the game are on customs. Customs is obviously this map right here. And you can choose either daytime. It's all in army time. So if you don't know what army time is, it's a 24-hour clock. And basically whatever the number is here, you subtract 12 from it. So 1425 is 2:25 p.m. And this over here is the morning time. Each time is 12 hours apart, basically. So this is the afternoon time, 2:27, and this is 2:27 a.m. Until you get further in the game, you're always going to want to pick the daytime, the morning, or the afternoon time. Daylight in Tarkov lasts from about 6:30 a.m. to roughly 9 p.m. So as long as it's between those hours, you should be golden. So you select which time you want, you hit next. You come to the map screen. It used to be in Tarkov that if you had a map in your inventory, you could choose which side of the map you spawned on, but they got rid of that. Now maps are the in-game maps are kind of useless. There is there's a bunch of great maps on Google, on the Tarkov wiki, that I cannot stress this enough. You need them, okay, guys? If you have a phone or if you have a second monitor like I have, go to the wiki or Google it. Bring up one of the 3D maps that has all the extractions on it. There's loot maps. There's maps that show where all the loot is. There's maps that show where all of the secret hidden caches are. But you just want the one that has all the extractions on it. They make really good quality 3D maps. And when you're first starting out, before you've learned the maps, you need the map. The maps in this game are pretty big. You know, whether you have to use your phone or your second monitor, you need the map. So before you start the game, whatever map you chose, obviously we're doing customs for our first raid because that's where our tasks are. Go to Google before you advance past this screen and find the 3D extract map. You can go to the Tarkov wiki and type in customs and it will show you the maps. You know, when I first started, I didn't have a second monitor. I had to use my phone, and it was kind of a pain, but I managed. And, you know, eventually you'll play the game, you'll get to know the maps better and better. You hit next. We're going to come back to this screen right here. When you get to this screen, it shows your loadout. This is the insurance screen. Tarkov has a feature where you can pay to insure your items. If you die with your loadout and nobody loots your body, or if somebody loots your body and then they themselves get killed and nobody loots their body, basically if nobody makes it off of the raid with your stuff, if you paid to insure it, you get it back. So what we're going to do, you just click on the items that you're going to insure. You can't insure everything. You can't insure meds or ammo. But tactical rigs, backpacks, clips, you know, all this stuff up here you can insure, and you see each one has its own price. You just click on the ones that you want, or you can do insure all. But when you insure all, you see it does your scabbard too, and sometimes some of the items that you don't want to insure in your secure container. You also don't lose your scabbard. If you take in a melee weapon with you, that can't be looted from your body either. So you're going to want to hit insure if you want. You don't have to insure your items, but I insure everything. It doesn't cost really super much rubles. That was terrible grammar, but it's worth it, guys. It really is. Some people might argue that with me, but especially when you're first starting out, you're going to want to insure most of your stuff. This brings you to the looking for a group. You can look for a group with random people or your friends. You can have up to 5 people in a squad. You know, but we're gonna come back. We're not gonna do a live PvP raid for the first time, and I'm gonna explain why in just a second. So, for your first time playing Tarkov, you are gonna want to stop at this screen. Tarkov has an offline mode where you can, you know, test out various functions of the game. You basically spawn into the raid with or without scavs. You can disable scavs if you just want to like run around and practice the controls. We're going to enable scavs this time just to kind of make it a little bit more real. You can change the amount and the difficulty. You can enable bosses. This, I think, is where the scavs are shooting at each other, and this option right here, basically you're tagged and cursed. You know, obviously that's what it says, but your the scavs are gonna mob you. If you hit tagged and cursed, all of the scavs on the entire map are gonna just converge on you and try to kill you. Now, AI amount, you know, you can change all of this, but I always play with it as online because that's what you're going to be playing against, so why change it, you know? This function is incredible. You know, I can't stress enough how important this function of the game is. I spent my first dozen hours probably just doing offline mode. You know, I was kind of afraid to go into a real raid with other players, you know, because I knew I was new and probably very bad at the game. So I spent quite a bit of time doing this. Now you hit next and it shows you the same screen, but you know, obviously you can't join other players. I think that may be changing sometime in the future. You know, you can't do offline mode with your friends, unfortunately. But for your first time playing Tarkov, unless you're exceptionally brave and confident in your skills, you're going to probably want to do the offline mode. So we're going to do ready, and we're going to get right into it. The loading times in this game are a little long too, when not so much on offline mode, but when you do real raids against other people. Oh, I think my headset turned off because I wasn't using it. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so when you first spawn in, the spawn points are random. There's probably a dozen or so, depending on what map. There's a dozen, maybe 15 to 20, 30 different spawns, depending on which map. And it's going to be random every time. You might get the same one twice in a row, but you probably won't. When you spawn into offline mode, you obviously don't have to worry about other players, but there are scavs all over the place. So you just look around. Hopefully you've memorized some of the controls by now. And hopefully you have your phone map out. We spawned into roughly the middle of the map. Customs is a pretty easy map to get used to. It's just a couple of these fenced-in warehouse areas, and hold on, I'll run out here and show you guys. Basically, oh, there's a scav. You press Alt to steady. And unlike a lot of games, steadying your sight isn't just for snipers. You know, you can see the difference. It waves a little bit, even with iron sights, but when you press Alt, it steadies it completely. Now, when you kill a scav or a player, you're probably not gonna want to immediately go over and loot, but I'm just doing this for training purposes. When you go to loot, you can press Alt and click, and it will equip the items directly to you. And this is actually one of the shotguns that you need for your first task from Prepor. To search, you just click anywhere in this dark box here. You don't have to click the search button up here, you just click anywhere in here. And since we did not enter the raid with anything, we're gonna do all of this. Now, let's say he had something in his pockets that you want to take. You control click that and it goes into a free slot that you've got. And you tab out, or you can press back, but you know, really you should be pressing tab. Tab is what brings up your inventory. And F is the interact, so when you come up and it says search, or you come up to a door, you know, whatever, the button is F. Alright, so we've killed our first scav. We have our first real gun. Oh, there's another scav right there. We have our first gun that's not a pistol. It's not the best gun, but you know, we need it for a quest. Oh, be careful. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Alright, now see, we're bleeding, and this is not good. We've got two... This is the bleeding symbol. We've got 2 blood losses here. I think we're gonna bleed out and die. I should have healed my thorax first. Now, we might get lucky, and one of these guys might have meds on them. But, you know, that's how it goes sometimes. Sometimes you just get wrecked, I guess. Oh, this guy had a silenced AK, actually. We're gonna take his rig. This is not good, you guys. We gotta go find some meds. We need a band-aid. Because you don't live very long with blacked out, with a blacked out chest. And when you are looking at a gun, oh, that sent it to the container. Normally you can control click and it will take the gun. Like if you were looking at this gun, you can control click and you can take any attachments off of it that you want. I am going to take this because that is a much better gun. As you can see, my arm is blacked out up here, and because I'm bleeding, my body is getting continuously more red, and I'm gonna die any second here. You can try to heal to stave off death, but really there's not much I'm gonna be able to do. No, none of these are band-aids. You can find bandages in jackets too, so we'll check. Nope. You can find medkits sometimes in these gun crates here. There's a couple around here I'm gonna try to check. Hey, another silencer and a scope. Oops. Well, unfortunately, we're probably not going to make it out of this raid. I'm going to take the clip for my AK. We'll start up another one after this, and hopefully we'll be able to do a little better. We might get lucky and find a med kit. Oh, hey, that's the logistics office key for Ollie. That's actually worth a little bit. Uh-oh. We might be able to make it to the gas station. There's a med bag over there. Oh, wow, no way. No way. These are like 180,000 rubles right now. Alright, we're just gonna sprint straight towards the med bag over here. And pray to Tarkov Jesus that there is a med kit or a bandage in there. Yes. There's a item spawn somewhere over here, but it doesn't look like it spawned this time. Alright, I'm dying. I gotta stop messing around. Alright, we got lucky that time, guys. That's not always gonna happen. Pretty much you're always gonna want to keep your head and your thorax topped up. If you don't have enough meds to go around to everything, all the parts of your body, at least make sure your chest and your head are fully healed, because those are the two body parts that you can't live without. Now we spawned on this side of the map, so that means our extracts are going to be on the other side of the map. Crossroads and Trailer Park are the two main extracts for customs when you spawn on this side. And we're going to try to make our way over there. We have a decent amount of items, so now would be a pretty good time to try to get out. There's another gun crate over here we can look in real quick. We might get lucky and we might find a more advanced med kit. Nope. This game is pretty realistic. You can switch between, you know, full auto, single fire. You can inspect your weapon using L. Oh, there's another scav. Oh, and my arm is blacked out, so you see how bad my aim is right now. I'm surprised I hit that guy. He might have better meds, but I doubt it. Yeah. Oh, he's got some food though. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about that. You have to eat and drink in this game. You have, let me get to a safer spot here. You have hydration and energy right here. They're out of 100 values, and you can upgrade, when you upgrade your hideout, you can upgrade this to 110, but yours is going to be 100. They drain slowly as you exert yourself in the raid, and you have to heal them as well as your HP after every raid. You don't get any XP for eating and drinking outside of the raid or healing outside of the raid, so it's best to do it in raid. We can eat this, and this is going to restore our energy, but cost us, I think, 3 or 4 points of hydration. Each food item is different. It has different values for energy and hydration. And we're going to drink our water. Manage our inventory a little bit better here. I can't believe I just found that laying on the ground. I never get that lucky in real raids. We're actually going to go over here. There's a little secret way to get from this fenced-in area over the fence without... See, this door requires a key. You can't... It should say open door and then breach. If you had the key, it would say unlock and then breach. But there's a fairly rare, expensive key you need to get through this door. It's called the factory exit key. We don't have it, obviously, because we're just doing a test run. You guys aren't going to have it. But there is a secret way. Without the key, if you don't know about the secret way to get over there, you have to go all the way down this road and find one of the breaks in the wall. And go through there. You got to go all the way around, but hopefully we can make it over this fence here. It's relatively easy. Just jump up on this car. You don't have to sprint, and you wait until you're at the... You wait till the last possible second. You're going to want to walk diagonally towards this corner right here of the hatchback. You're going to want to jump at the last possible second. And you get up on this. I'm being shot at by the sniper scav right now, and he's probably going to kill me. Oh, wow, I actually killed him. Yeah, sniper scavs... Uh-oh. Sniper scavs spawn a few places on this map. They spawn on one of these 2 towers and then on a building over there. But we're being shot at right now, so... Where are we being shot from? We're going to try to make it over the fence. Now, you're probably not going to make it every time. It took me a very long time to be able to get that. But you just hop over the fence, and then you don't need that key. And, oh, one more thing. Be careful about going to this gas station here. That's one of the spots on this map where the Scav boss spawns. Scav bosses are basically really geared out Scavs. And they have... better armor and weapons than traditional Scavs, and they also usually have bodyguards. Uh-oh. Why are the Scavs shooting? They shouldn't be shooting. Oh, we can check the smuggler's boat, actually. That's one of the special extracts that's dependent on what time of the raid it is, and it's only a one-time use. Only one person on the entire raid can take it, but we're going to check. The other sniper scav spawns on this building here, and he is deadly. If you're not paying attention, he'll one-shot you through most armors, so you got to be careful of him. As you play the game more, you'll start to learn where the scavs are most likely to be. Usually there's scavs down here at this checkpoint. Along this road, there's usually a bunch of scavs. Over in this area, there's 2- and 3-story dorms. That's the other area where the scav boss spawns. That's also for this map, that's the highest priority loot spot, is the dorms over there. That's where most of the players end up going on this map. So when you're first starting out, unless you have to go there for a quest, you might want to avoid going there. Now the smuggler's boat is right down here. Now you'll know that the smuggler's boat is there because you'll be able to see the campfire that signifies that it's still there. But for some reason, it's not there right now. I don't know why it's not there right now. It should be here. What time is it in the raid? It's not always there, though. Usually it's not there because somebody took it. But this is an offline raid, so that's impossible. But we'll just have to move on to Crossroads. Oh, this little green bar down in the lower left-hand corner is your stamina, and it also shows your stance. You see, you can, it shows whether your guy is crouched or prone or standing. If you hold C, you can move your mouse scroll wheel, and you can crouch at different levels. It shows you the sound icon, too. Without holding down C this time, if you use your mouse wheel, you can adjust your walking speed, or caps lock is the default to go from full speed to 0 speed. And as you can see, the sound icon changes. That sound icon is how much noise your character is making. When you're sneak walking, basically, I like to call it, when you're standing up, you're still making a bit of noise, but when you're crouched down like this, you're virtually not making any noise at all. When you turn, pretty much any sound that you can hear, other players can hear. So when you turn like this, when you run, when you walk through a bush, when you check your magazine, Alt-T checks your magazine, all of that makes quite a bit of noise. But when you're silent walking, sneak walking, whatever you want to call it, you're pretty much silent unless you're doing stuff with your gun. And if you're not walking and you turn side to side like this, it makes a sound. This I actually didn't know for a long time when I played this game. But if you strafe and turn left or right, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make that turning around sound. See, can you guys see the difference? So that is, if you're hiding in a corner trying to avoid a player, or you want to get the drop on him, and you're crouched down behind a box or something, if you turn, he'll hear you and know exactly where you are. So, you know, you can use the strafe to your advantage a little bit. Just kind of go back and forth a little bit, or just press it a little bit and turn around. I just thought I would use that moment to explain that a little bit. Alright, Crossroads is this extraction right down here. And there's a bunch of other parts of the map that we didn't see, but that's okay. We've got a decent amount of loot. We've got a quest shotgun here. If you guys get this lucky and you find a fleer, on the flea market, they're worth almost 200,000 rubles. I'm not sure how much they're worth from the trader. Probably maybe 100,000 rubles, which is still a lot. When we get out of this raid back to the menu, I'm going to go back to the traders and explain a little bit more in depth about each trader. Each one pays different prices for different items. And we'll talk about that when we get back to the main menu. Alright. Now when you start to extract, you'll see it flash up in the upper right hand corner, and it'll start counting down. You just have to stay in the area like so. Alright, now as you can see, you get a little bit of XP. You get 1.5 times XP for surviving the raid. It tells you who you killed, Scav or PMC. It tells you how you killed them. Gives you various statistics about, you know, what you did in the game. It shows you what you gained experience from. That was an offline raid, so the experience doesn't count. But we'll go back to the main menu, and I will explain the traders a little bit more. Yeah, see what I mean about the loading times? This game is a little ridiculous sometimes. Even if you have an SSD, I don't, but even if you have an SSD, the loading times can get a little crazy. Alright, so you have all of these traders unlocked, except for Jaeger. When you first start out, you have to do a quest to unlock him. But you're going to want to focus on Prepor and Therapist. They're the first two you should be trying to level up. Therapist pays the most for any item that you can sell to her. You see how some of these are grayed out? But you come down here to the items that you can sell to her. Anything pretty much that you can sell to her, she's going to pay the most for. Barter items like this. Food items, medical items, she buys all of that stuff. But she doesn't buy armor, backpacks, guns, ammo, anything like that. Prepor does, but he doesn't pay as much as the other traders do. Skier pays the most for gun parts, red dots, various attachments for guns, scopes, hand guards. He pays the most for armor, helmets, headsets, tactical rigs. He doesn't buy whole guns, as you can see, but you can go to your character screen. You can... Oh, by the way, you press R to rotate stuff in your inventory. You can only rotate it 90 degrees. You press R, and it does that. It makes it a lot easier to store stuff. You can either right-click and hit disassemble, and it will disassemble your gun. It'll put all of the separate parts into your inventory. Let's collect them all up here because I don't actually want to sell this. Skier pays the most for that kind of thing. So you come over here to the buy and sell tab. You basically drag your items into here. Now he is going to pay the most for all of these kinds of items that you sell to him. So you've got 26,197, but you know, I'm not going to sell that because I actually need that for right now. Mechanic buys whole guns. He also buys gun parts, but he doesn't pay as much as Skier. Mechanic buys like this. When you disassemble a gun, you're left with like the most basic skeleton of the gun. He buys those, and let's go back and put the gun back together. Oops. Mechanic pays the most for whole guns. He buys pretty much any gun. And Peacekeeper also pays quite a bit for stuff, but you have to buy and sell from him in US dollars. There's rubles, euros, and dollars. Peacekeeper buys and sells in only dollars, and Each dollar is worth 106 rubles. And actually, to level up Peacekeeper, you're going to want to buy the ruble or buy dollars from him using rubles. I wouldn't. The first level is 13,000 rubles, I believe, or dollars, I believe. So it's quite a bit. I wouldn't waste my time buying, you know, Berettas and stuff with dollars, because when you first start out, dollars and euros are kind of hard to come by. So when you have a little bit of extra euros, I would just buy the dollars from him. But yeah, hopefully, you know, after this video, you guys will have a little bit better understanding of the game. You know, like I said at the beginning, this game is exceptionally hardcore. There's absolutely zero kind of tutorial. There's no manual. There's no nothing. It's pretty much up to content creators like myself to explain how the game works. And, you know, I'm hoping that I did a good job explaining everything. The video's a little long. I hope you guys stuck around for the whole thing, you know, but I tried to be as detail-oriented as I could. Tried to explain everything as best I could. If you guys like the video, make sure you hit subscribe on my YouTube channel. And if you like my content, I hope that you do, but, you know, I'm going to be putting out hopefully more content in the future. I'm relatively new at content creation, video editing, that kind of thing, and it's you know, it's kind of a daunting task. So I'm trying to establish myself as a content creator for Escape from Tarkov. So if you guys like what you see, more will be coming. Thank you for watching, and good luck in the game. You're definitely going to need it.